I come today as a person who has been working with the Baker family. I am not a direct representative, but I can speak on things that I have seen alongside the Baker family in the process of this investigation that was ongoing when they found Nevan Baker, a 22-year-old black man, hanging in a tree at Barker's Park on Monday, October 5th. Yesterday, after a week of the city, of the community, after the country found out about this information, OPD and officials from the city reached out to Nevan Baker's mom and others to have a meeting about their developments and what they have seen. It was an answer to the community's cry out for a quick ruling of this incident as a suicide when they found Nevan Baker hanging in a tree from a 5-foot rope that was thin enough to be described as a hairline thin rope. And before they did a full thorough investigation, it was ruled as a suicide, which led his mom, his family, the community to be upset with this quick ruling of a suicide and lead us to ask for more answers. So we have taken to the streets and we have taken to the social media to ask for it, and yesterday they gave us some developments. I'm gonna share some of the developments that the family has authorized me to share. Understand that some information will still be waiting on because we were not shown everything that we were asked for. And we also are still waiting on our own analysis of a lot of things that were shown. One thing that I want to highlight out is that there was rumors that they had camera footage that shows no one entering or leaving the park. That was actually not true when we went to the meeting. There's no footage that shows Nevan Baker or any other person that they can supply for us, supposedly, of this incident. We don't have any kind of footage showing Nevan leave his home, any kind of footage of him leading up to this park, or any kind of things that can indicate that he walked to this park on his own and this incident happened. The park has multiple entrances that the police did note. They stated there's only one camera, and out of the whole park, the tree where Nevan was found, this camera cannot catch this one part. That is one of the only blind spots in the George Barker Park, coincidentally, where Nevan Baker was found hanging. The family did not receive any kind of footage or updates until yesterday, and there was no effort done to start an investigation to see where his whereabouts were that led up to him being at George Barker Park until yesterday when they attempted to get a cell phone from the family after we already had a meeting established and the family was not available to do so. They still have ruled it as a suicide and have closed it pending any new updates, even though they don't have any information that leads up to this incident. They did supply body cam footage of the officers on the scene. Of the 3 first officers that arrived at the scene, they only could show us part of 2 of the cameras. As far as they stated, it was not redacted, but it was not the full coverage. We could not see enough details in this footage. We could not get it slowed down either, and we're told that we would have to wait for public records to request it in order to do a deeper dive into the information provided. Even with the footage that was shown to us, we left that room not feeling satisfied, not feeling like we had any kind of real answers, not feeling like this suicide is possible, not feeling like the explanation that they gave for how he could have possibly climbed the tree, which I quote one of the investigators, a scenario that is highly implausible, but it's a possibility of how he could have took his life. They are using bare mathematics and not actual evidence or actual information to say why they would rule it as a suicide. They're using measurements that do not add up in reality if you were to go to this scene and see what they're referring to, the structure that this young man could have used. There was no information provided that could show that the scenario that they gave us of him inflicting it to himself could actually happen, besides the mathematics. There was no indication beyond a suicide, beyond the fact that they found him in a tree. There was no reason for them to rule it a suicide without any investigation. When it came down to any other things about photos of this young man, about the condition of this young man, none of the information matched up with the family's information, and when asked the medical examiner of this, they stated they cannot speak on anything that did not happen in their custody. To be clear, this family was not allowed access to see their son while they was in the custody of OPD. They requested multiple times to visit him to ID him and was told they could do so after he was at the funeral home. And at the funeral home, they were able to take pictures and see their son for the first time. After 2 to 3 days of waiting, after they were told 8 hours almost after their son was found in the tree. The family is not satisfied, the community is not satisfied. We were not provided information that shows us proof that it was a suicide. We were not provided information that shows absolute proof that no one else had anything to do with it. Even the investigators had to take into account that someone else could have done it. And when we go to the actual structure of this park and we look into it, the multiple entrances, the waterway that they did not check to see if anybody came or left from, the ways that there's multiple gates that are low enough for anybody to hop over and enter and leave, the fact that there are reports that there were multiple people at the park the day that they cleared the park and claimed that no one else entered or left the park. These are concerns that the family has had, and there are more details that we will release later on about how his condition of his body was, the condition of his property was, and what leads us to feel these doubts. We are calling on the community to help us, to get real answers, to get real justice, to support this family, because we cannot trust the authorities on their investigation because we feel that it's haphazard and was done lackluster. We are asking for support for us to help the family get their own investigation done, get their own autopsy done, and take their own steps to get their own information. We will be waiting on public records before we comment on anything that they supplied us, because once again, we were not able to take anything we were shown at one time, and we were not able to be shown anything slowed down to prove anything at this meeting. We are still asking for questions. This young man's incident cannot be taken lightly. We need all the public pressure. We need people to call Orlando Police Department. We need you to call your elected officials. We need you to help us to have this case reopened. This is not the only incident that's happened in Orlando. This is not the only time that we had a mysterious death happen that has not been looked into. Sometimes it's something like this where we don't have a tie to the authorities, and sometimes it's when the people are in the custody of the authorities that deaths happen mysteriously and we don't get any answers. We are fed up with that. We are tired of being quiet and being silent about that, and we cannot afford to lose our children anymore without any answers. We know that this was a white person that was found hanging in the tree. There would have been an initial investigation, and we would not sugarcoat that. We want the same rights, we want the same respect, and we want the same kind of importance that we get to other people that we work so hard for in our communities also. Like we say over and over, Nevan Baker's life mattered. It's not only Black Lives Matter when the police kill us. It's not only Black Lives Matter when it's in the streets. It's Black Lives Matter when something happens to us anytime. And we need the same importance and emphasis they had behind George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and all the other household names to be brought behind this incident and the other incidents that we're still trying to get justice for that Ms. LaWanda Gilson will be speaking on. This is an active fight in the city. This city is not new to police brutality or racist attacks or any kind of injustices. But what they are new to is people standing up to it and fighting against it and not being quiet. And this is only the start and only the beginning until we get real answers. I'm standing alongside other activists and community members who want to speak out on this, and I'm going to clear the floor for Ms. LaWanda Gilson and other people to speak on things that we are trying to accomplish in this city. I thank y'all for coming and thank y'all for your time.
Good morning, folks. My name is Don Laurie, D-O-N, last name Laurie, L-A-W-R-I-E. I want to say on behalf of the community here in Orlando, we are fed up. We are tired and beyond frustrated. We are asking Chief Alano to personally step up and see that this investigation is reopened. Circumstances pertaining to this case do not add up. When you look at the crime scene, you look at the evidence, it does not make sense. The forensic doctor cannot provide a clear explanation as to how this young man actually performed this act that they are saying that he did. You cannot conclude an investigation in 90 minutes. This whole investigation was wrapped up in 90 minutes. If this happened in Thornton Park, if this happened in Baldwin Park, if this happened at Lake Yola, the investigation would still be going on right now. The fact of the matter is this is a young black man in a black neighborhood. They closed this investigation in 90 minutes. This is outrageous, and this is not fair. This is not justice. He is an American citizen, and this is America. These cases have been happening all across the United States. Los Angeles, New York, California, Texas, and now here in Florida. They've all been deemed suicide without proper investigation. We're asking for the cooperation of the media. We're asking for the cooperation of the citizens. We're asking for the cooperation of the police to get due justice for Mr. Baker and his family. I thank you for your time.
Hello, LaWanda Gelzer, that's spelled L-A-W-A-N-N-A, G like in giraffe, E-L-Z like in zebra, E-R. I stand before you as a community advocate, but I want to go back to something. I hold before me the homicide investigation, what they call the Bible. And there's rules and regulations that were violated and policies that were violated by OPD when it came to this investigation. They didn't even follow the rules and procedures that they were supposed to follow. If I can find it, then others can find it. That is a problem in itself. We have questioned how OPD have mishandled this case. This is why the Black community do not trust OPD, Chief Rolone, and even Mayor Dyer of the city of Orlando. We don't trust this. Back in June, Chief Rolone said, I promise greater transparency. Yet, we're still waiting for Kevin Adolphi's video. He was shot in the back 3 times. February of this year. They still have not released the video. Mayor Dyer thinks this is about PR. And how do you improve community trust? It's not about PR. You cannot continue to pick and choose who you want to meet with, who you want to talk to, and when the community is saying something totally different. The reason why we're here is because the community has reached out to us, and you can't pick and choose. Just last month, the city had a special press conference to introduce a consulting service that will be doing community policing and how we can build trust. None of the community was notified, and the consulting service might be a great group of individuals, but they don't know the history of Orlando. And that is the problem in itself. We're saying no more picking and choosing who serve on our boards, who are in our community, who know our history, who know our pain. We can speak for ourselves. I will say this. Some years ago, I asked for Chief Mina to resign. At this time, is it not a point that we need to not ask Rolone to resign? We do not trust OPD. These are just 2 cases that I've said about. There's so many more that the community know about. Even back last year at this time, when a Caucasian woman was sexually assaulted over in Lake Eola, it was all out efforts to find out who that gentleman was. But the same guy sexually assaulted a female in Paramore, the same guy 3 weeks earlier. They did nothing. And when I asked the question at a forum held by OPD, they wanted to know where I got the information from, not going to aid that woman. That is the problem. You say you want to build community trust. If this is how you build community trust, you are failing the job. So we are questioning you. So I want to say, Miles, they are having a demonstration at 4 o'clock because we have had enough. No more lies. No more lies. We deserve better. We're citizens of the city of Orlando. And I end by saying this. Mayor Dyer, Chief Rolone, all the commissioners, all the city staff, you work for us, not the other way around. And if you want to improve community trust, it starts with you. Because we have been here all along giving you ideas and suggestions on how to make it better in Orlando. Thank you. Questions?
Yes, Mom. I got a question for you. After taking part yesterday in that meeting and being showed what you guys showed quick fast, was there any markings like on the tree to show that maybe he climbed up the tree? Was there any markings on the limb to show where the rope would have been dangling or impression into it? Because the tree is a fairly old tree, and in the slightest touch, bark should have came off. Did you notice any markings from that?
At the presentation yesterday, OPD was not able to show any markings on the trees, any kind of parts that would show where he actually climbed up the tree or actually set it up himself. All they could show was the rope that they found after they cut it down. There was not any pictures taken of him in the tree or any kind of footage that was shown of him in the tree except for them when they took him down. Did you see any markings or any kind of indications of it? You cannot see it in the video, you cannot see it in the presentation, and you cannot see it in the tree itself when you go out to the park.
All right, my last question is, I understand that that camera right above the tree no longer works. Is the family calling for the report? Because once a property like that goes down, there should be a maintenance report that should have been noted, because there's a boat dock there, and that's crucial to not have a camera where that boat comes up. Also, have the family notified the building right across, which is like industrial property, to have cameras on the outside? Was that footage even brought about?
Yeah, so there was no footage shown at all. No footage shown from the city of Orlando. No footage attempted to be shown from any neighboring businesses, any neighboring residences, or anywhere at all. At the time when we asked, when they attempted to get the footage, they said they have reached out to get the footage but did not receive a response back. They also stated that the only working camera did not catch the tree. It was a blind spot, and that the unworking camera they had no knowledge of or how to go about it. The family right now is requesting support so that they can secure their own attorney, their own private investigator, and their own investigation, because we cannot trust anybody's investigation at this time.
That's why at the beginning, that's why at the beginning, this book is what they have learned and taught. It's a suicide. It's treated as a homicide from the beginning until you can rule out. 90 minutes is not enough time to go and find out where this gentleman had went. You couldn't have done a proper investigation. That in itself, we should be questioning OPD. Why did you fail this family? Why did you fail Mr. Baker by not even following what you are supposed to do? You are supposed to do that.
So if they develop more information that does show and able to prove a suicide, are you willing to accept that?
Absolutely. I think they need concrete information, but I think that's what we're looking for. I think that there's a narrative going out that people are trying to exaggerate or embellish the truth to make it something what it isn't. But what the truth is that we don't trust what they're doing. We don't trust the lackluster investigation, and they have not gave any details that can prove that this was a suicide or any attempt to do so. So the family wants answers. They're not looking for a certain narrative. They're looking for answers. If they supplied answers, then that would be different. But there's nothing that's been shown to be it. And if there was proof that would be shown, we would gladly accept the truth. But you have to prove the truth. You can't just state something and make it the truth by fitting stuff into a narrative.